Become a member in the description box below. The Washington Post wrote an article about me today. Yeah, give it up for that. Give it up for that. Now, hold on. It wasn't a fluff piece. It wasn't how brown and sexy my eyes are. Nah. Wasn't about my cool shirts and my bald head. No. It was about my coverage of the DNC fraud lawsuit and how I was very outspoken. How I've been beating that drum about the DNC and how its corrupt primary system rigged it against Bernie Sanders. And they thought, this guy Tim Black's been making some noise. So the name of the article is In One Corner of the Internet, the 2016 Democratic primary never ended. It hasn't ended in mainstream media either, because they keep talking about Russia because they're upset about Hillary losing the freaking election. So it hasn't ended anywhere. But anyway, Dave Weigel is the author. He wrote this article. And he talks about Tim Black, me. He talks about H.A. Goodman and Paul J. from Real News Network and Elizabeth and Jared Beck in the DNC fraud lawsuit, because we found out last week that they dismissed it. And we did coverage of it. We've been covering it since it began. In fact, Nico House, one of the co-founders of the lawsuit, who contacted the Becks and got the ball rolling, he was on my show before there was a lawsuit telling me what he'd found, and I know the whole process. So we've been covering the DNC fraud lawsuit from the inception, before it was a baby, when it was still swimming. Here goes some comments from the article I think are funny. Well, good. It says, for a certain kind of Bernie supporter, the primary never really ended. It grew into a defining, eye-opening event, a moment when it became clear that Democrats could not be trusted, were not worth co-opting, and might literally be getting away with crimes. Oh, man, Dave Weigel kicked this one out of the stadium. This is real deal. I love that. That's true. A lot of us don't feel like the DNC can be trusted. Why would we think they could be trusted? We got polling places closing in Arizona. We got one polling place for every 21,000 people in Arizona during the 2016 elections. We have a series of people hundreds of thousands of people being thrown off voting rolls in New York. It went from 25 debates in 2008 because they wanted Hillary and Obama to fight it out because they respected both of those candidates. And in 2016, we went down to six debates. I don't know about you, but 25 to 6, that's a big decline. Not to mention, it's the lowest number of debates that ever occurred since they started counting debates back in 1980. But no, Tim Black, you've got no points there. You got no points there, Tim Black. It's just conspiracy theory. You thinking they didn't want you to have a fair election. He talks about H.A. Goodman. He says, Goodman, whose devotion to Sanders as a HuffPost blogger gained him a small but dedicated audience, transitioned from columns from the Vermont senator's inevitable victory to vlogs about the truth coming out about Clinton and the DNC. Then they get to me. If you are in independent media and you didn't think it was your job to cover the underbelly of the DNC, I'd like to know exactly what you think your job is. That is a great quote. Because I made it, and I believe it, and I feel it in my bones, that if you are independent media and you didn't think it was necessary to cover the DNC fraud lawsuit, and you knew about the DNC fraud lawsuit, I got to ask you, what are you doing? And how much are they paying you to do it? And why aren't you fighting for the people? So that's a great statement. And then the next statement is also pretty good. It says, how can you look in the mirror, call yourself a journalist, a speaker of truth, and not cover this case? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. How can you call yourself a journalist and not cover this case? Come on now. Bye, Felicia. Man, the DNC fraud lawsuit, and Dave Weigel points this out how it was not covered in mainstream media, not even a dismissal of the DNC fraud lawsuit. In fact, when Debbie Wasserman Schultz was asked about the DNC fraud lawsuit, she said she had no comment. No one wants to talk about a lawsuit against one of the major parties, one of the two parties of power in our election process. No one's talking about them being sued by a class action lawsuit. And and I just think it's strange. I think it's weird. I think it's a setup. I think it's garbage. But I thank you, Dave Weigel, because you covering this, and then you covering us covering it means we're doing something right. And it's great to know that the establishment knows that we're here and that we're making noise and that we're fighting a good fight. Now, I don't know if we're going to win these fights, but we got to fight the fights. You know, I'm for truth no matter who tells it. I'm for justice no matter who is for or against. That's a Malcolm X quote. And I try to live up to that quote, and I believe that quote. That's just me. Shout out to Elizabeth Beck, Jared Beck, Nico House, because I believe until we get these parties straightened out, the people will never be right. The people can't have justice if the system is not just. If you believe that, regardless to what your political affiliation is, regardless to what name tag you wear, regardless to where you work, what color you are, what you put in your hair, or if you don't have hair, if you use suntan lotion or if you don't, I don't care. If you believe that the only way we get justice is if we revamp the system and make it more just, and if we are quiet and we don't fight back, then nothing changes. If you believe those things I just stated, well, you need to join me in my wolf pack. You need to follow me here as well as follow me on Twitter and Facebook, because we fight the good fight. Thank you, Dave Weigel. Thank you, Washington Post, for proving that independent media is making its mark. Damn it, that's something. I'll see you on the next one. Until I see you again, like I always say, don't you let nobody take your cornbread. That's right. Democracy dies in darkness. You know what thrives in darkness? Corruption.